It is 5 o'clock, so we're going to call this meeting of the Jackson County Board of Education into order. And as our tradition, we're going to take a moment to have a silent reflection and prayer about the things that are going on in our county. And as you're doing that, also be thankful for the season that we're in, this Christmas season, and for the talented little ones we have at Bridgeport that are going to perform for us in it. So if you will bow with us for a second, please. Thank you. Mr. Dukes, I'm going to let you take over and introduce our special guest.
I'm actually going to let Miss Merritt introduce our folks to us, but first off, I want to thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming, and thank y'all for the gifts. We appreciate that. We're excited to hear this. If you'll introduce them, Miss Merritt.
For a long time at Bridgeport Elementary, we have wanted to have a choir. And we talked about it, Miss Shannon Anthony has bitten the bullet, and these students had to try out for the choir, and they had to have a recommendation. They had to have their parents' permission, but they also had to have a recommendation from their teacher. And so we actually have 34 students in our little choir. They've only been practicing for about 2 weeks. And this is only their second performance. They performed for the Chamber of Commerce breakfast last week. And then they will perform for you all tonight and then again at our program on Wednesday morning. We actually have the virus going around, and we have the flu bug going around. So we're missing about 6. We're missing about 6 of our students that are sick. These are all well.
But you're going to let them walk around and hug everybody before they leave, right? Everybody gets a hug.
We've actually been tempted to call and say, we have the flu really bad, don't we need to dismiss them? Because we're kind of like scraping them off the ceiling right now. We're excited for Christmas. Do you think it would be better if they...
Yeah, let them stand. Yeah.
All right. Now, these are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade.
All right. They can spread out however y'all want to do it.
Just like we do it. Do a practice, 4th in the back, and then straight level in.
We want everybody to be able to see you.
Y'all scoot together, because when you're together, your voices are a little louder. Y'all get ready to have your heart touched.
Close your eyes.
Merritt, are you gonna do a solo now? Oh. Y'all want Miss Merritt to sing a solo?
One more for you, and it's gonna feature like our little first grade over here, but then the other choir will join in. Get your tissues ready, y'all.
Happy birthday
Wow, what a treat. Thank you. Y'all did outstanding. Outstanding. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for bringing it.
Thank you for having us.
Parents, thank you for coming and sharing your children with us as well. So, y'all can, if y'all are ready to go, y'all can go with your little ones, or you can stay for the rest of the meeting. It's completely up to you. Thank you.
That's what it's all about right there.
Merry Christmas. First thing on our agenda is to consider a motion to approve this agenda as it is presented.
I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Story makes a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gant seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move up. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes, and the agenda is approved. Under general business, we have consider a motion for any corrections, additions, or deletions to the November the 20th, 2017, the November 22nd, 2017, and the December the 4th, 2017 board meeting minutes. If there are no corrections, additions, deletions, do we have a motion to approve those minutes? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Guest seconds that. I assume there's no discussion since there weren't any corrections, additions, or deletions. But hearing no other discussion, we'll move to vote to accept those. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes. And those minutes have been approved as they were presented. B, consider a motion to approve the financials, including the bank reconciliations for October and November 2017. I'll make that motion to approve those financial statements. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, and those financial statements have been approved. Under C, consider a motion to approve the purchase of the Spire materials. And just to add that Spire is the dyslexic program that we're looking to purchase for the county. That includes the program, training, and the materials that go along with that, correct, Mr. Butler? Okay, Mr. Davis. So that is what you have when you see Spire. Do we have a motion to approve that purchase?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Dr. Guest makes a motion. Is there a second? I will second that. Is there any discussion? And I think that comes out of, being purchased out of textbook money, correct? Okay. Is there any other questions about this purchase? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. Consider a motion to approve the 2018-19 school calendar.
Did we have two parts of two choices there, or
What we did is
wound down to one?
we created one, then we gave we gave every employee in the system with an email address an opportunity to say whether they liked it or not like it, and then add comments. We had about 140 suggestions, so we used the original calendar, and then we did an adjusted calendar with the majority of those suggestions, not all of them, but the majority of them. So then we had a vote for calendar A and B, and Mr. Pritchett did a lot of work with this. He put a lot of time and effort into it, and calendar B passed 80% to 20%. So it was overwhelming that was the one that everybody wanted to go with. And basically it started earlier. It gives a full week at Thanksgiving, a full fall break, except Friday for teachers. And that's pretty much the difference in it.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Duke. So we have the motion to approve. Do we have anyone who wants to make a move on that?
I'll make a motion we approve the the calendar.
Story makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Guest seconds that. Is there any questions or discussion off of that motion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. That motion carries. The calendar has been approved. Consider a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Rosemont Consulting Services for psychometrical Davis. Good. I'm phoning a friend on this one. I'm phoning another friend. Jana. Yeah, it's for testing purposes. It's testing purposes. I can't say that, and I can't say reciprocity. I say that at Northeast, I can't do that one either, so. It didn't matter how many times I read this, I was gonna mess that up, Mr. Charles, so don't think it was the pressure time, because it was gonna happen regardless. So, we have a motion to approve this service. Yep, that one. Do we have anybody who would like to move on that, or pronounce it?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Dr. Guest makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Kent seconds that. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is yes, and that motion carries. AF, consider a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement with Teresa Hubbard, the gifted specialist. This is, Mr. David, this is also for some testing stuff there too. Isn't it? Okay. All right, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Story seconds. Is there any discussion? We'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself, yes, and that motion carries. Consider a motion to approve the continuous improvement plan, also known as the CIP plan.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Dr. Guest makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion?
I hope somebody read that. There was 103 pages of it, and I didn't get to read it.
It is very detailed.
Very
There was
detailed.
103 pages of it.
Miss McRae and our CIP chair people put a lot of time and effort into getting this thing
I hope
going.
it's all right, because it was too long to read.
It'd take about 3 months to digest that one.
It'd take more than one day.
Okay. We have any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. CIP plan has been approved. Under 8, we have consider a motion to amend the Jackson County Custodian salary schedule so as to convert all the current 9-month, 7-hour per day positions to 9-month, 8-hour per day positions, and to eliminate the 9-month, 7-hour per day positions from the salary schedule, with the salary being commensurate with such position. Such amendment shall be effective with the first pay period after the effective date of this amendment, and all current employee contracts shall be amended to reflect the change in the salary schedule. That may be the longest motion we've ever had there, but that is what we're looking to do, is to convert those 9-month, 7-hour to 9-month, 8-hour.
I make a move that we accept that proposal.
Mr. Gant makes a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I think Dr. Guest seconded that. Was there any discussion? And we've talked about this some in meetings past, so I think it's going to be a benefit to our employees as they get ready to retire, and they're not having any surprises, I guess, at their retirement time. So, hearing no more discussion, we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. Next will be addressing some overnight field trips, and we can either, unless somebody wants to break one of these out, we'll take them all as one motion. Is that okay?
Take them off.
Okay. Just to breeze through those, we have a Woodville varsity boys and varsity girls basketball trip to Cumbia on December 27th. Pisgah varsity boys basketball, December 27th through the 30th. Pisgah softball team has a trip in March. Skyline varsity girls basketball will be having a tournament in Kentucky, December 28th through the 30th. And then number 5, this is any Jackson County High School team qualifying for the regional state basketball playoff. When we're between meetings, so they have the option to spend the night if they choose. So that is something that we had a little bit of question about before, and I think this may take care of that. So we will take all of these 1 through 5 as one motion. Do we have that motion?
I make a motion we approve 1 through 5 of the trips.
Okay, Mr. Story makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gant seconds that. Is there any discussion?
I got a little something different to ask there. Are we still planning on having the county tournament at Woodville?
Yes, we are.
Are they gonna redo the floor before then, or do you know?
The floor will be refinished before then, yes.
I've had some questions about that, and I noticed Woodville was leaving during Christmas.
Yeah,
I
they're
just wondered-
going to put a coat of finish on it to get right before the tournament at some point in time.
What about the renovation to the gym? It's not gonna take place before then?
The renovation, some of it could take place before then. They're working around the schedule, and it shouldn't affect any of the basketball or anything. We had a meeting with them, last Friday. No, it was, what's today? Yeah, it was last Friday. Friday, we had a meeting with them.
Are they gonna have it completed by tournament time?
No, they will not have it completed. I want to say it was 180 days. They have to get the whole thing completed. in.
90 days.
I want to say there was an extension because
y'all
of
give
during
them
the school
extension?
time to 180, I believe it
Oh,
was.
okay.
But they will have the floor redone, I guess, in time for that tournament.
Well, I've had several calls about that floor being slick down there. We just paid $60-something thousand last year to get that floor refinished.
Yeah, I've had a call or two on it also.
Yeah, I think it was some of your friends that was complaining.
We had to get to finish and go to finishing that thing. We've done it before. And typically the schools that are hosting the county tournament, they'll do finish their gym floor at the beginning of the basketball season, and then they will refinish it right before the county tournament time, and then that carries them on out there at the end of the year. So they sure do look good when they're refinished. So it should be looking good for the county tournament. Any more discussion on those trips? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes, and those overnight trips have been approved. On the personnel actions, we have retirements. We have 1, consider a motion to accept the retirement of Eddie Sharp as a countywide bus driver effective January the 1st, 2018.
I make that motion.
Mr. West makes a motion to accept that. Is there a second?
No second.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion?
Is he sick or got his 25 in or?
He's just got his time in, said
He
he
got
was
his time
ready to
in.
go. He kind of kept it on the down low and said he was ready to go and didn't want anybody to really make a big deal out of it.
He is a good man and a good bus driver.
Very good
employee.
man, very good driver.
So we have a motion and a second to accept Mr. Sharp's retirement. We'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes, and that item has been approved. Under resignations, we have considered a motion to accept the resignation of Megan Pope as a countywide special services aide effective December the 15th, 2017. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Guest seconds that. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, so we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, and that motion carries. B, consider a motion to accept the resignation of Jordan Williams as a countywide special services aide effective December the 20th, 2017. I will again make that motion.
Second.
Dr. Guest seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is yes, and that motion carries. Under leaves, consider a motion to approve the family medical leave for Taylor Barrentine effective January the 22nd through March 23rd.
I make that move.
Mr. Gant makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. West seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. Also in B, we have consider a motion to approve family medical leave for Jamie Johnson effective December the 11th, 2017 through January the 2nd, 2018.
I make a motion, we approve that leave.
Mr. Story makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. West seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. Under transfer, consider a motion to transfer Amber Brown from a pre-K teacher at Hollywood to a pre-K teacher at Pisgah effective January the 2nd, 2018.
I make that move.
Okay, Mr. Gant makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Guest seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. Under employments, we have consider a motion to employ Whitney Clark as a career coach at the Epcot, effective January the 2nd, 2018.
I move to employ Miss Clark as career coach at Epcot.
Mr. West makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Dr. Guest seconds that. Is there any discussion? I think Ms. Clark has some experience on that. She served in that position before.
She has
She did.
served in that position before.
We'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. Consider a motion to employ Kelly Weber as a history English teacher at Paint Rock Valley effective January the 2nd, 2018.
I move to employ Kelly Weber as a history English teacher at Paint Rock Valley.
Mr. West makes that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. C, consider a motion to employ Eric Ott as a welding instructor at Epcot effective January the 2nd, 2018, and that is pending background clearance.
I move to employ Eric Ott as welding instructor at Epcot.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gant seconds that. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, then we'll move to a vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, that motion carries. Under item D, consider a motion to employ Lindsay McLean as a countywide bus driver effective January the 2nd, 2018. I'll make that motion. Is there a
What number is that?
Well, you changed on the survey.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Which one you reading, D?
D.
Yeah.
Ours said Brittany Haynes.
Oh, D was on my list.
Okay.
We will. When do you set D aside on my list? Is it? Okay, then what I have for
Whose hours in theirs?
Maybe Mr. Warren had a different one now, but so we can circle, and that's the motion.
it is. So
Oh, okay.
this D says that there is a motion to employ Lindsay McLean as a bus driver, and that packet was inside of the application packets we had on there, that we had for review. It just wasn't, I guess it's just not on that agenda.
And I can explain, when Mr. Sharp retired at Skyline, he was a countywide driver. So another countywide driver transferred to that position, which was from Hollywood to Skyline, which opened up Hollywood. Well, we had this posted as a countywide position, and Miss McLean's who Mr. Wilbur went with.
Now, who is Lindsay McLean?
She is a graduate of Skyline. She used to work at Western Sizzling, used to own Holly Tree Grocery.
Oh, I know who it is. Okay.
So are we good to take this
Now,
recommendation?
read it again,
Okay.
if you would.
It is consider a motion to employ Lindsay McLean as a countywide bus driver effective January the 2nd, 2018.
Now, did you say that's for Eddie Sharp's job?
No, someone from another countywide position is moving to Eddie Sharp's job.
And-
And that left this spot open at Hollywood, which we hire for,
And who is the one moving to Eddie Sharp's?
Glenn Lewis.
Okay.
So, but this one was posted required time.
This was posted the required time. And as they're hired as countywide bus drivers and countywide aides, which doesn't require board action because they're countywide, so they can move from spot to spot, location to location. But after that took place, that is what opened up at Hollywood.
Are y'all good with?
Now, is Lindsay McLean, is she married now, or is that the name she goes by, or she got a married name?
I'm not sure.
That's what our application.
I'm not sure. It was the application packet in that stack that we all.
Well,
we
didn't have,
signed.
it was about 400 or 500 pages in that.
It's a CIP plan.
So, didn't read it all.
Yeah. Are, Mr. West, are you good with voting on this one? On this item?
Where do you say she works now? She working now?
I'm not sure where she's working now.
She's not working anywhere now?
Here's pretty much what we had. Everybody that put in the beginning, there was 2 people that were not currently bus drivers. We had several put in when they thought it was Skyline, but there was only 3, let me take that back, 3 that were currently not bus drivers. Well, when we ended up making the shift to Skyline, and then we opened it up at Hollywood, he offered one lady, and she would not take it, so there was down to only 2 people that had applied, and this was one that he offered it to.
Who made the recommendation, the school bus garage?
No, I made the recommendation. I let Mr. Wilburn talk to her to see if he wanted her because it was his bus driver, and he said he did. He gave her the call, and then I filled out the paperwork and made the recommendation.
So, Mr. West, are you good with?
Yeah,
with
let's vote on it. I'm not sure about all this.
Mr. Story, are you good with leaving it on there?
Yeah.
Mr. Gant, you were moving it for a vote? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Guess, you good with this one? I know it wasn't on y'all's copy of that, and that was, Janice says she apologizes for that, and I apologize for Jana and me too, but sometimes that happens. Okay, so, we can call this D1, I guess. So we have considered a motion to employ Lindsay McLean as a countywide bus driver effective January the 2nd, 2018. I made that motion, and I'm looking for a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. West seconds that. Is there any further discussion or questions off of the clarification that we got? Hearing none, then we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes. So D1 carries.
The reason I was asking that question, I know 2 Lindsay McLeans.
Oh. Okay. All right, so on your agendas, the next item is D. Is that correct? Okay. And we will call it D, so that y'all are on the same page with me. Consider a motion to employ Brittany Haynes as a 21st century after-school teacher at Macedonia effective December the 19th, 2017.
I make that move.
Mr. Gant makes some motions. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries. E, consider a motion to employ Robin Shirey as a 21st century after-school teacher at Pisgah effective December the 19th. I'll make that motion. Is there a
Second.
Dr. Guess seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, and that motion carries.
All the rest of those there, they're the same jobs, after-school programs, 21st century.
They are gonna be.
So can we take them G
Um,
through J?
We can. If nobody else has a problem with that, somebody see one of those that remain that we want to strike.
That's fine.
Okay, Mr. Yant, you good taking the rest as a bulk, as a group? All right, so we have in F through, what's your letter, Mr. West?
J, I got it.
F through J.
F through J, yeah.
Okay, these individuals are going to be considerations for 21st century after school. Tiffany McDonald, Derek Pendergrass, Jessica Varner, Michelle Holcomb, and Jackie Tate. And we're going to take those, Jana, as one motion. Okay?
I'll make the motion, we take those people as after school hours of work.
Mr. Storm makes that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I think Mr. Gant got you on that one, Mr. West.
Okay, that's fine.
Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, then we'll move to a vote on those. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes, so those group items carried. Under coaching assignments, we have A, consider a motion to approve Derek Allen as a non-faculty basketball coach at Skyline. I'll tell you what.
Softball.
Okay, I'm sorry, softball. If you want to look at A through,
All of these people already got all their paperwork in.
why is Mr. Davis, he's,
Not all of them, but the principals are meeting in
okay, so,
So can we vote on them before they get it in?
as long as we do it before their season starts, I
As
think.
long as they're
Okay.
not on the field with students,
So,
at the practice or game.
you want, is it gonna
You're
be?
saying they gotta be completed with that before they go on the field with students? Okay.
Yeah. So we can take
I'll
those.
make a motion, we take A through K.
Okay.
as,
Do what?
A through A, wasn't it?
A through
K.
K.
G-H-I,
Okay, hang on.
J-K.
We got one that's.
Y'all got another one you've added?
We better go.
Derek Allen, Glenn Lewis, Daniel Utter, Kim Lewis, Ella Dennis, Zach Goff, Hayden Kirby, Chase McRae, Keith Linderman, Keith Haynes, Natalie Stevens, Gerald Thompson.
Gerald
Oh,
Thompson.
yeah,
Well, you
Gerald
got
Thompson.
one that's not on there then.
Gerald's been added.
Okay.
That Hayden Kirby, I thought she was already,
I'm not sure why she was resubmitted. She was an aide and she had already been approved to coach and she has resigned as an aide with the school system. But she is still going to continue to coach with a softball
So she was an
program.
employee coach and now she's a non-faculty coach.
Yeah, non-faculty coach versus faculty coach. There you go.
are these compensated, all these people compensated?
Mm,
No,
some are, some aren't.
several of them don't get any pay.
Let's take these individually. And if we've got questions, we can ask those. So,
That's all right, that's the only question I had. Let's-
well, Mr. Davis might be able to clarify who's.
Okay,
who's
okay,
got this.
okay.
Let's do it that way. Okay, so we have, consider a motion to approve Derek Allen as a non-faculty softball coach at Skyline. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. West seconds that. Any discussion?
Yeah, is he one of them getting paid?
So you getting paid, Mr. Davidson?
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Davidson on this.
He had a supplement allotted to him that he's turned back into the school. He will not receive pay.
So he's not accepting this
He's
supplement.
asking.
The reason I was asking that, I see you've got 4 on here for softball.
Yep.
No, I'm wrong. One of them's baseball. Excuse me.
He is asking for his name to be given back, but he's got all his credentials.
Okay. Okay. It's very kind of Mr. Allen to do that. Is there any further questions or discussion? We'll move to vote on this one. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is yes, and Mr. Allen has been approved. Under B, consider a motion to approve Hugh Glenn Lewis Jr. as a non-faculty softball coach at Skyline.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Mr. West makes a motion. I'll second that. Is there any discussion?
All credential, no pay.
Okay. Credential, no pay. Been credentialed for a while. Any other questions? We'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that motion carries. Under C, consider a motion to approve Daniel Utter as a non-faculty baseball coach at Skyline. Mr.
All credential, no pay.
All credential, no pay.
Is he gonna be the head, is that the head
No
coach?
assistant. Already approved. Charles Manning has been approved as
John, okay.
Okay, so you'll be helping Coach Manning. So I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. West seconds that. We'll move to a vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that motion carries. Under D, consider a motion to approve Kim Lewis as an assistant softball coach at Skyline.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. West makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Story seconds that. Just for discussion purposes.
credential and partial assistant pay.
Okay.
And
We'll
she-
split assistant pay softball.
So who's the other assistant out there?
Derek Allen, Hugh Glenn Lewis.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All right. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Myself is yes, that motion carries. Consider a motion to approve Ella Dennis as a non-faculty softball coach at Pisgah.
I make that move.
Mr. Kent makes a motion. I'll second that. Is there any discussion? She is credentialed. I don't know if she's
I
getting
don't
paid
think she's
anything.
getting any pay.
Okay. No pay. Any further questions about Ms. Dennis? None. We'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself, is yes, that motion carries. Under F, consider a motion to approve Zach Goff as a non-faculty softball coach at Pisgah.
I make that move.
Mr. Gant makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion?
I believe that's a no pay as well.
Credential, no pay, I think. Okay, we'll move to a vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. That motion carries. Consider a motion to approve Hayden Kirby as a non-faculty softball coach at Pisgah. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. West seconds that. Is there any discussion?
Yeah,
No
say
pay.
no pay.
Credential, no pay. Okay, Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that motion carries. H, consider a motion to approve Chase McCray as a non-faculty baseball coach at Section.
I make that move.
Okay, Mr. Gant makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. West seconds that. Is there any discussion? Mr. Davis, you want to touch on that one?
Which one was that?
That's Chase McCray.
All right, when you're talking about baseball at Section, they've already hired Michael Bolt. So you have Michael Bolt, Chase McCray, and Keith Linderman. They're going to take all of the baseball supplements and split it 3 ways. They're all 3 in agreement to do that.
Okay. All right, so they're going to go thirds on the supplements, combined supplements at Section. Okay.
Pay for
So,
nothing's nothing, huh?
be enough to buy a scarf. That's cool in baseball season. Any other questions for, and as far as credential, he's working on his too, I guess. Okay. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that motion carries. I consider a motion to approve Keith Linderman as a non-faculty baseball coach at Section, and that's pending his background clearance. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. West seconds. Is there any discussion on that? We know he's going to receive 1/3 pay. If there's no other questions or discussion, we'll move to vote then on that one. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guest?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, that motion carries. Under J, we have consider a motion to approve Keith Haynes as a non-faculty assistant softball coach at section pending his background clearance.
I make that move.
Mr. Gant makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. West seconds that. Under discussion, I'm gonna refer again, but
I think he's uncompensated, Gene will tell you for sure, so.
Okay.
We gotta find out the next two.
okay, so we're gonna get information on whether they're paid or not, but they will be credentialed before they go on the field with students. Okay. Any other questions about Mr. Haynes? And we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is yes, and that motion carried. I think we hired his daughter as the softball coach there, right?
Nice.
Oh, that's right, his niece. Good Lord, I got my Haynes mixed up. Okay, so he's gonna be helping his niece. Under K, consider a motion to approve Natalie Stevens as a non-faculty track coach at section.
I make that move.
Mr. West makes a motion. Is there a second? She is my niece by marriage, so I am going to abstain from even seconding that motion, but do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Story seconds that. Is there any discussion?
Since that's your niece, I'm not backing down. Just kidding.
Mr. West, I'm taking it away. All right. She is a cheerleading sponsor currently at section, so she is credentialed. Is there any other discussion, questions? We'll move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
And Mr. Gant?
Yes.
So that is going to pass 4-0, and I'm going to abstain from that one. All right, the addition that I have on my agenda that you guys don't have is to consider a motion to approve Gerald Thompson as the non-faculty assistant softball coach at North Jackson High School.
I'll make that motion.
You did the right thing. Is that right?
Yes, sir. He's got all his paperwork in.
Yeah.
And that is as the assistant softball coach? Okay. All right, so the motion is correct. And Mr. Story made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Again, seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then we'll move to vote. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Guess?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, and that motion carries. We now have a item of executive session, and we typically will go out of the room and do that. Mr. Porter, do we have right to go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, to discuss good name and character of an individual you do.
So we have Mr. Porter's explanation of our justification for executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go into executive
Mr.
session.
Gant makes that motion.
I'll second.
Story seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote to go into executive session. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. So we are now in executive session, and we will go to the conference room, and we will return just as quickly as we can. We will entertain a motion to come out of executive session at this time.
I move we come out of executive session.
Mr. West makes a motion to come out. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gant seconds that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote then. Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Story?
Yes.
Dr. Yes?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Myself is a yes, so we are now in executive session. This is our announcements portion, and AJ, I'm gonna let you stand up and present quickly what you have right there, and then we'll go.
Real quick, what, that's the due process. All right. I took it out back here.
You better hurry up and quit stuttering.
It's the same thing we talked about during the work session, the Student Discipline Council. What we'd like to do is to be able to take something off your plate where you're not encumbered by things that involve the areas that are more than 10 days but not up to the area of expulsion. we're definitely going to refer that. So we've got it typed out for everybody. If you'd like to look, it's real simple. Just allow for due process to happen. It'll be potentially a third layer of due process. The first will happen at the school, and then we'll go through this student discipline council, and then if need be, it'll come to you guys. And so it's pretty straightforward. What it'll do is it'll meet on a weekly basis if need be, and that way the cases happen more quickly. We should be able to adjudicate things and get the findings quicker, allow the parents to have the interaction quicker, and so we can start the process. If there is any reason to bring it to you, we'll bring it to you at that time, but hopefully we can keep most of it off your plate.
And that does not require any board action because we've looked through there and we didn't see anything. This is just basically an extra step and taking it off y'all's plate.
We'll definitely like to see how this goes, because I think it would help expedite a lot of the issues. And save some time too. Be a little more fair to students, school and everything else. Somebody have any questions to Mr. Buckner, Mr. Deeks about this? No, I think we all kind of agreed earlier that was probably a good thing, wasn't it? Yeah. So, we typically would like to announce when our next board meeting will be, that we are trying to make sure that we're not holding that when our teams are going to be playing basketball. And so, we're going to announce that at a later date. As soon as we know when we're free for a meeting, then we're going to announce that then. But it looks like it's going to be a February meeting, right? Does anybody have anything else they need to announce before our meeting adjourns?
I want to thank Rocky for helping us out and being here for us. We appreciate that. The Sheriff's Department.
That's right. And also, getting a lot of good feedback on our resource officer. And just even his comments, public comments about our children and about our schools. I'm going to tell you something. When I read that and when I hear that, it makes me proud that he's there, and also makes me proud of our schools because he's able to say good things about them. So I think it's a perfect fit. I think he's really enjoying it seems like too. And I know it's good to keep our schools safe.
And I don't know if I mentioned it at the last meeting, but we do have some federal funds where we are adding a second resource officer in January. So
it's good. It's good. If we get a second one as good as the first one, we're going to be in good shape. If there are no more announcements, then we'll consider a motion to adjourn.
I move with adjourn.
Mr. West makes a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Story, second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, we're adjourned. I vote. Thank you.